Hello all, welcome back to my channel CBSE 8. The motto of the channel is to provide you with the best coaching possible from my side on various subjects from the very comfort time and place of yours. I assure to get you that extra coaching that you're looking for on the subjects. I suggest you to give the reading to the segments we shall discuss today from your textbook and watch the video for better understanding and have your textbook beside while watching the video. Without further ado, let's check out the segments we'll be discussing in this video today. We shall discuss section number 2.1 and 2.2 of the chapter number 2 is matter around us pure. Section 2.1. From the last chapter we discussed, you know very well there are three forms of matter: solid, liquid and gas. These three states can be found in two different forms, either as pure substance or as mixtures. Let's check out what is a pure substance. You call a substance pure when you feel there is no impurity or adulteration in it. But do you know how scientists identify a substance as pure? They say it is a pure substance when there is only one type of element in it or one type of particle in it. It can either be one single element or more than one element. But it should be made up of only one type of particle, that is one type of atom. Then it will be categorized as a pure substance. The next category in which the three forms of matter could be found is mixture. What is a mixture? Mixtures are formed by combining two or more elements together physically with variable composition. Let me repeat, the pure substance is something that is made up of only one type of particle, and mixtures are the combination of more than one type of particle physically combined with variable composition. Now, the pure substance itself is categorized into two. Number one as element, number two as compound. Let's check out what elements are. Element contains only one type of atom. There is no combination involved in it, and the items that is in the periodic table are all elements, and each will have only one type of atom in it. Second type of pure substance is compound. Compound is formed by mixing two or more elements together chemically, and this have a fixed composition. This should be a little tricky and confusing. There is a very slight difference between mixture and a compound. Mixtures are formed by two or more elements combined physically, not chemically. You have to note that one significance between compound and mixture here is that both compound and mixtures are combination of two or more elements, but in compound, elements are mixed chemically, whereas for the mixture, elements are mixed physically. A mixture can have combinations of elements or compounds or both. Next up, we have two categories under mixtures: homogeneous and heterogeneous. Homogeneous is a mixture in which the components are mixed thoroughly all over, and it cannot be seen with the naked eyes, and separation is quite impossible physically. Whereas heterogeneous is a mixture in which the components are mixed ununiformly throughout, and the components can be seen with the naked eyes, and separation of these compounds is quite easy physically. Now that you have learnt so many terms, you might wonder what is a substance. Substances is a matter which has specific composition and specific properties with two as a condition. One is that it should be a pure element or pure compound, then it is said to be a substance. Now what is an element? Element is one type of particle, and compound is combination of more than one type of particle. Section 2.2. What is a solution? It is a homogeneous mixture of two or more substances together. Just like how a solution has a liquid as its main component in general, solution can also have solids and gas as its base. When a solution is in the form of solid, it's called an alloy. Alloy is nothing but the combination or mixture of two or more metals or metals and a non-metal. Whenever a solution is there in terms of a gas, it's called air. It's a homogeneous solution of nitrogen, oxygen, argon, etc. Now coming back to alloy. Do you wonder why alloy is not a compound but a mixture? It is because it showcases the property of element involved in it or the property of its constituents and has variable composition. You have to keep one thing in mind, that mixture has a variable composition whereas compound has a fixed composition. Therefore, an alloy is categorized as a mixture as it contains a variable composition. For example, alloy bronze is made up of 78% of copper and 22% of tin, and an alloy silver is made out of 92% of silver and 8% of copper. Now let's look at the constituent of a solution. A solution always has two parts in it. Number 1, solvent. Number 2, solute. Solvent is nothing but the part that dissolves the other part inside it. In simple terms, the part which is present in larger quantity. For example, when you take juice, the water is the solvent and the juice powder that you take to mix to obtain juice will be the solute. Now solute is what? The part of the solution that gets dissolved in solvent. In simple terms, the part which is present in smaller quantity. For example, coffee. Milk will have the larger quantity and the coffee powder will have the smaller quantity. Now milk is the solvent and coffee powder will be the solute. Properties of solution. Number 1. Solution is a homogeneous mixture. That is, the particles are evenly distributed. Number 2. Solutions are not visible to naked eyes. The particles of solutions are extremely small, smaller than even 1 nanometer. Number 3. It does not pass light through it. Due to tiny particle size, these do not scatter beam of light. Number 4. Solution is a stable one. Both solute and solvent gets mixed thoroughly. Solute cannot be separated through filtration. Also, it does not settle down when left undisturbed. Just when you recollect the example of coffee, no matter how long you leave the coffee outside, it does not get separated. You can never get the coffee powder back, or coffee powder does not get sedimented underneath. Section 2.2.1 Concentration of solution. The amount of solute and solvent in a solution can always vary. Depending upon the amount of solute present in the solution, it can be categorized as dilute, concentrated, or saturated solution. Let me repeat. Depending upon the amount of solute present in the solution, it is categorized as dilute, concentrated, or saturated. Here there are very few important concepts that you have to learn before proceeding further. Number 1, let's check out what is a saturated solution. When a solution has dissolved as much solute as possible, the solution is said to be saturated. That is, it is in a situation where it cannot accept more solute anymore. On the other hand, you have unsaturated solution. When the amount of solute contained in the solution is less than the saturation level, that is, it is still in a position to accept more solute, then it is called as unsaturated solution. So here we learnt two different concepts, saturated and unsaturated. Saturated solution is a situation in which the solution can no longer accept any more solute. Then the solution is said to be saturated. Whereas when the unsaturated solution is something that it can accept more solute. Now, what is solubility? The amount of solute present in a saturated solution is called its solubility. Section 2.2.2. What is a suspension? Suspension is a heterogeneous mixture in which solute particles does not get dissolved but remains suspended through the solution. Properties of suspension are: it is a heterogeneous mixture, that is, particles are unevenly distributed. Number 2, suspension is visible to naked eyes, that is, the particles of suspension are greater than 1000 nanometer in diameter, hence visible to eyes. Number 3, it scatters beam of light. As the particles are larger in size, it can scatter beam of light. Number 4, suspension is unstable. A solute particle settles down when left undisturbed, and solute can be separated by the process of filtration. There is only one important point to keep in mind, that when the particles settle down, it stops scattering light as suspension is broken and off. This is a very important point that you have to keep in mind. Only when the suspension is unevenly distributed, it can scatter beam of light. When the particles or the solute settle down, the suspension is broken and off, therefore scattering of beam is impossible. Now the example of suspension is the mixture of water with sand. Sand never gets saturated in the solution or in the water. It always gets sedimented underneath when left undisturbed. Section 2.2.3. What is a colloidal solution? Colloid is a heterogeneous solution where the particles are uniformly spread throughout. The solution and the size of the particle is relatively smaller as compared to suspension. That is, the size of the solute may not be as large as suspension, but it still have particles that are visible to naked eyes. Let's check out the properties of colloidal solution. It's a heterogeneous mixture. Due to relatively smaller size of particle as compared to suspension, colloids look like homogeneous, but actually it's a heterogeneous mixture. For example, milk. You can never get to see different constituents of milk, but we are very well aware that milk is a heterogeneous mixture because fat can be nicely separated from milk. Number 2, it cannot be seen with naked eyes. The particles are too small to be seen with naked eyes. Number 3, capable of scattering beam of light. Particles of colloid are big enough to scatter beam of light. Colloids are unstable. The particles do not settle down when left undisturbed. Just like how I took the example of milk, you can never see the milk getting settled even when left for a longer time. Number 5, mode of separation. The particles can be separated through a special technique known as centrifugation. And centrifugation is the process for removing fat from the milk as well. Here we have to have some more additional detail to learn about colloidal solution. Just like how solution has two major components, solute and solvent, colloidal solution also has two components, dispersed phase and dispersion medium. So with this, section 2.1 and 2.2 of the chapter comes to an end. Check out my next video for the other segments of the chapter. Do subscribe and share with friends and family. Your valuable comments means a lot. Thank you.